Hello and welcome to U.S. Cricket Now, the podcast covering all things Major League Cricket. I'm Peter Della Penna.
And I'm Aaman Patel, and coming up, we take a look at tonight's results, where MI New York, they beat TSK by 7 wickets to make their second Major League final.
How-do into the night sky. Pooran brings up a half-century of note. And they're into the final again.
We also hear from the player of the match, Kieron Pollard, and his unbeaten 47 off of 22.
Once you have an opportunity in anything that you do, you try to grasp it with both hands. And the belief in the dressing room was until cannot qualify, we're going to give it 100%. And that has been the mantra of this MI franchise. It's a never say die sort of attitude.
And we'll preview the final between the Freedom and MI New York to see who will become the first two-time champion of Major League Cricket.
Don't forget to follow U.S. Cricket Now on Instagram, X, and TikTok. And you can watch us on YouTube. Just search U.S. Cricket Now. 3-7, MI New York scraped into the playoffs, and now they're one match away from claiming their second MLC title. How on earth did this happen?
It's just like it was in 23, guys stepping up at the right times. Somehow, Peter, they just seem to fox us into believing they don't have it this year. And then 3 games we're in, and now we're just one more game away from having a 6-win season and having a final.
Well, it's one of the things that Kieron Pollard talked about in the press conference is that he said, we don't belong here. We don't deserve to be here. We played terrible all season, and we've just managed to hit our stride at the right time. But more than anything, just never stop believing in themselves. We'll hear more from Kieron Pollard in a bit, but you saw that belief come out, and like you said, guys who are unsung heroes, guys you wouldn't expect to be the guys who would be playing key roles. I have to say, Aaman, this was not the cleanest game I've ever seen play. This is not going to be one that is going to be on too many people's Instagram reels or Instagram stories, because there was a lot of mistakes on both sides, but it just happened that I guess you could say MI New York made fewer mistakes or made them at less crucial times. And in the chase, when TSK could really afford to have few mistakes, Pooran Patel dropped on 11 at mid-on by Akil Hussain, and Kieron Pollard, technically not 2 drops, but 2 chances that they were very difficult. Those are over-the-shoulder catches. One, Zia-ul Haq is trying to run back in his bowling, and he didn't run far enough. He's trying to judge it because you don't want to get hit in the face trying to run back and catch it. And then I think it was Akil Hussain again, was running back from third man, and I don't know if it was in the back of his mind what Zia-ul Haq did, but he wound up overrunning the ball. And the look on Daryl Mitchell's face, he was running towards me. I was sitting on that side of the ground at that point in the second innings. And the look on Daryl Mitchell's face when that chance was missed by Akil Hussain, because Daryl Mitchell was trailing not too far behind him. It wasn't like, oh my God, he missed it. It was more of a case of like, I can't believe this is happening to us because we've had such a good season and we're about to lose here. How could this happen?
Yeah, I mean, and that you saw that on the face of really all the Super Kings players, didn't you? Just as the runs kept winding down. And I tell you what, Nicholas Pooran and Kieron Pollard made batting look really easy on that wicket, where I don't reckon it was that easy. It was, at least in the first innings, there was a bit of dust off the surface, so it started to skid around a bit. And then I know there's that bit of dew factor that helps the batters, but this was an easy track to go quick on early. We saw Pooran Patel take his time a bit and then start to really go after it, finishing just one shy of 50. And he clearly is the front runner for the Bart King Award. At this point, it might have had it locked up with today's innings. And then again, a 54 Pooran, and I think Pollard's 47 on 22 spoke for herself. Took Noor Ahmed on, first ball from him. They are stamping their authority. They were brilliant. And I was saying to you before we started to record, I want to sit here and try to pick apart Texas. Yeah, they had a couple drops, but I felt it was more about how brilliant those two were rather than was there stuff wrong with the men in yellow.
Well, and to follow up that point, this is something that came up in both press conferences. The losing side, one of the coaches, Sriram came from Texas Super Kings, and then Kieron Pollard, when he spoke, this was touched on, and you brought it up in yesterday's episode, the previous episode. How are you going to negotiate Akil Hossein? And you were advocating for opening with Pooran and Quinton de Kock having two left-handers to keep him out. They didn't do exactly that. They opened with Mononk and Quinton de Kock. But what they did do, very cleverly, they always had a left-hander at the crease. They promoted Michael Bracewell, which you thought could happen.
Yep.
And then when he got out, Pooran came in next as opposed to Pollard or any other right-hander. And that worked almost to perfection, because what it meant was that Akil Hossein didn't bowl his full quota. He finished with 3 overs. They couldn't bring him back when Pooran was in and going off the way he was.
And I was surprised Bracewell was coming up at 3. I know I said that he might get jumped up the order a bit, but they domestically, they drop Heath Richards and they bring in Gunarjeet Singh, a left-handed bat who bats at the top. For me, I said, okay, if you're going to open with anyone, it's going to be those two. Okay, open with Mononk, first wicket goes. If it's not Pooran, it's got to be Gunarjeet. And it wasn't. And they go with Bracewell. It works in their favor. I'd be curious to see how they go with their order again. And it's two very different philosophies. For the Super Kings, they didn't change the 11. They went with the same 11 really for the back end of the tournament. They said, we know our domestics and we're not going away from the guys that work. With New York, they're always changing and contemplating. And I reckon for the final, Gunarjeet Singh's not going to be in the 11. I think you're probably going to see a Heath Richards for a little bit more death hitting at the end. Maybe if the wicket starts to open up, a Sunny Patel gets a nod. They're going to make a change. Does Ihsan Adil get back in? And for me, he's the unsung hero of all this. But without his 6 balls against the Knight Riders or non-disposition, I saw him afterwards, and Sunny Patel made sure that I knew that. And I'm like, everyone knows that those Yorkers were key. And again, the momentum you felt off of that Florida game, you felt, wow, this is a team that's kind of reinvigorated here. And they're proving what that meant to them right now.
Now, you mentioned the success of the domestic players, Mononk Patel, who's had such a fine season, and again with a top knock tonight. Rashul Garkar for them in the field with 2 wickets, 2 for 31. But contrasting that, TSK, their domestics, Smith Patel opening the innings, 9 off 10. Sai Mukamala, 1 off 3. Shubham Ranjani, who's had an incredible season, 1 off 3. Do you feel that they got overwhelmed by the moment tonight?
I'm not sure they got overwhelmed by the moment. It was just a trickier wicket than I think what they were ready for here at Grand Prairie. Typically, it's very flat, nicely coming on. There was a little bit of movement, and again, a little bit of skid off the wicket early, and it was tough. Even Faf du Plessis, he took his time. He wasn't the free-flowing Faf. He finished with a strike rate of 140, but there were moments where you thought, he's going to hit the accelerator, and just couldn't. There were tricks in the wicket. The wicket wasn't bad by any means. Pooran and Pollard showed you how to play on it. But, you backed Smith Patel because he'd been there all year. You backed Mukamala because he had those couple of 30s. Shubham Ranjani, that's his first time being dismissed under 10. He had double digits the entire season. Just his 4th dismissal on the season. He had been not out in the other matches, striking it brilliantly. So I look at this TSK team, and they get to this point every single year, don't they? They've been here last year and now this year, and they just weren't able to get over the line. And you think, where has it gone wrong? Last year was the internationals didn't perform. This year probably was the domestics didn't play the way they needed to. And they might need to take a page of this New York playbook because they find a way every year to peak at the right time.
Well, how do they find a way to do it this time? I asked Kieron Pollard just that question because they started off the season so poorly, and yet they're doing everything right down the stretch to get into the final. What's the secret ingredient? What's the secret sauce to MI New York's success? I asked Kieron Pollard, and he had quite an unorthodox answer and a reason for the secret to this success. And here's what he had to say.
Kieron, Peter Elton with U.S. Cricket now. Started off the season so poorly and then to turn it around at the right time. What do you feel was the key turning point during the season to help you get to this point?
A bit of belief. In all honesty, as you rightly said, we haven't played good cricket. We should not have been here, but we are here. But again, once you have an opportunity in anything that you do, you try to grasp it with both hands. And the belief in the dressing room was until mathematically or until we cannot qualify, we're going to give it 100%. And that has been the mantra of this MI franchise, not only here, but across the world, as we're starting from the mother franchise in India. It's something that is ingrained in us. And once you get the opportunity to put on that blue and gold, it's a never say die sort of attitude.
Is there something, though, with their one game, in particular the sequence where Marcus had 6 points, you were at 2, and you needed to sweep both games against the Night Riders to have any chance of getting to the playoffs, and that happened. Was there something in that time frame that happened in the change room or during the training session that helped get everybody going in the same direction?
Yeah, we went to Miami and we forgot about cricket. And I think that was the best thing for us. And then we turned up and again, we just, what was in front of us. There was the rain, that delays, we've had different things. But honestly, getting to Miami was refreshing for us. Guys went shop, retail therapy. Some guys are out of pocket now, like myself. Family is here. But yeah, that was something that's helped us, to be very, very honest.
All right, well, great to hear from Kieron Pollard, and his success means that, well, we're going to the final where New York will take on the Washington Freedom. So let's look ahead to it. What's on the line, Peter? Not only just this year's title, but the first team to get 2 titles. Washington can make it 2 from 2, go back to back, and New York can make it 2 in 3 years. For you, what are some matchups? What are the things the teams need to do in order to kind of win?
Well, the biggest thing for me heading into this contest is you've got a team in MI New York who's one on Wednesday, one on Friday. They've got great momentum. They're in a rhythm. They'll be playing again in 2 days, so they've had matches every 2 days. Washington Freedom are going to come into this game having not played a match for more than a week.
Yeah.
And we see that often in other sports where a team coming off a 7-game series against a team that may have swept their opponent in the previous round. And oftentimes that team that has had 8-9 days of rest because they've swept their opponent, they're very rusty.
Absolutely.
They're out of rhythm. And to me, that might be the one thing that could disrupt Washington Freedom from a phenomenal season. They've been brilliant. They were top of the table at the end of the regular season. But the fact that they had that rain out on Tuesday, they advanced to the final by virtue of the fact that nobody could take the field on Tuesday night. It means they haven't played since Florida.
Yep.
And I think that could be a very subtle but very important reason why, if they don't get into rhythm very quickly on Sunday night, MI New York is ready to pounce.
Yep. I agree. And I think for all those reasons, plus being a Grand Prairie, the toss is so important. Washington want to win this toss and bowl, not just for the reason of there's dew coming later. You can get yourself back into game rhythm. I think Maxi's going to have to be brilliant with the ball. I know it's not taking a huge amount of turn. I'm not sure what strip we're going to be on, but his contributions in this latter half of the year has been so vital. And then you look at the left-handers that are riddled in this team, the Poorans, the Quinton de Cox, the Michael Bracewells, the possible Gunwarjeet Singhs. You're going to have to deal with at least 3 of the 4 of those names on the way through to this team. He's going to have to play a factor. I think Rachin Ravinder is going to have to bowl brilliantly as well. But on the flip of that, you mentioned the lack of momentum and rhythm for the Freedom just because they haven't played games. Rachin Ravinder hasn't had that big knock yet. Mitch Owen, after starting the tournament incredibly hot, and Lauderhill cooled off dramatically. Andres Kraus is picking it up. Glenn Maxwell's picked it up. They're going to need their openers to fire. They're going to need the top 4 to really bat big.
Well, you mentioned Andres Kraus. He's had a very hit-and-miss season. 80 not out in the win over Texas Super Kings back on June 22nd here in Grand Prairie. And then 46 not out on July 6th, the last match they played in Lauderhill against MI New York. And that's the last time they took the field. So they've got the confidence knowing that the last time they came up against MI New York in a rain-shortened game to 18 overs, they beat them pretty comfortably. 6-wicket win with 3 overs to spare. But again, that was July 6th. It's going to be a week gap. And a lot has changed for MI New York between July 6th and July 13th.
They made 7 changes to their 11 that day, MI New York. They didn't play with a full team. They opened with Gunwarjeet Singh. Shardar Lumba was in the team that day. So they're a very different team. And they're very different momentum-wise. And there's something about Nicholas Pooran in the Major League Final. Last time he was here, 149, unbeaten, on a track where it wasn't easy to bat, and he made it look effortless. Remember, Stephen Taylor got out first over. He thought, oh, this could get interesting. And 2 overs later, Nicholas Pooran's made you believe, yeah, it's going to be won by over 14. No need to watch the rest of this. So this is going to be incredibly fun, incredibly tricky. Washington, when they won last year, wasn't even close. They scored 200 early, and we were just waiting for them to win the game. Is that going to be similar, or will it change? We have to wait and see, but it's going to be an absolute blast here on Sunday night.
Now, our fan interaction for today. I spoke to Ganesh Sanap, the former president of the Northern California Cricket Association. He's somebody who's been involved in American cricket for the better part of 30 years. He was actually the team manager for the USA Under-19 team when they went to the Under-19 World Cup in 2010 in New Zealand, so he's been actively involved in American cricket. I saw him at Oakland Coliseum. He was leading the tailgate party at Oakland Coliseum before everybody was going through the gates of Rickey Henderson Field. He wasn't in a state where I could comfortably interview him during the tailgate session. It's a tailgate. He was having fun. But I saw him in the stadium tonight. Not only was he there at Oakland Coliseum, but he made the trip to Grand Prairie for the playoffs. And I asked him about his experiences at Major League Cricket, both in Oakland Coliseum and here in Grand Prairie.
I'm here with Ganesh Sanap, former Northern California Cricket Association president and a diehard MI New York fan and a diehard cricket fan in general. He's here to support the U.S. guys and MI New York. Yeah. But you're based in Northern California. I saw you at Oakland Coliseum. You're here now for the playoffs. How does this experience at Grand Prairie compare to the experiences you had earlier this year at the start of the season in Oakland Coliseum?
I think the weather is the biggest factor to me, honestly. The weather pretty mild in the Bay Area. Over here it's warm on the players as well as the spectators.
You used the word mild. I used the word perfect. Yeah. Perfect weather in the Bay Area.
Absolutely, yeah. And then it's been an open secret forever. Glad Major League Cricket came to the Bay Area, and now I was skeptic, to be honest. I was openly skeptic if the Coliseum will work out, but I think it worked out very well. So.
And why do you say it worked out very well?
As in, the stadium, the way the stadium is set up, little noise by the spectators was like reverberating because of the concrete around. And the Bay Area fans are better than Texas fans, let me just.
The rivalry is firmly ensconced after just 1 year of games in Oakland Coliseum. We need that, though. You need fans to be competitive. The crowds in Oakland were good. They've laid down a marker. They've challenged not just Texas, but anywhere else they have games, whether it's Florida or North Carolina in the past, that, hey, the bar has been raised. You got to match what was done at Oakland Coliseum. But it's still a good experience here, a great experience for fans. Obviously, it's a bit warmer, but to have a facility like this in America, you've been in the U.S. now for how many years?
30 years now.
So when you first came here and when you were involved, and you still are involved in cricket administration in the Bay Area, but I mean, from where cricket was when you first got involved in cricket administration and doing stuff in the local leagues in the Bay Area, compared to where it is now, what stands out to you most about the progression?
Well, I mean, cricket has definitely gotten better, because of a lot of, professionals coming in and coaching the youngsters here. So at the youth level, it's gotten way better than when we started coaching youngsters 20-25 years old back. And my biggest complaint would always be that everything happens at the highest level. It doesn't trickle down to the local leagues. So we still are out fending for ourselves, whereas we would want a little more help from the national body and the major league to local cricket as well.
Well, from that standpoint, what more do you think could be done or should be done to help support local cricket?
Well, I'm seeing the Major League Cricket academies have they've taken initiative into starting and coaching youngsters. So that's a good way to add to player pool of the local leagues. Totally given to that. But when it comes to local facilities, that's where the Major League Cricket could they could come up with their satellite facilities. They don't have to build stadiums everywhere, but with $1 million by each franchise in their local area could produce a decent enough ground that local cricketers could play, contribute, maintaining the field as well. The administrators will also be involved in giving back to the MLC by getting the community engagement more from the local leagues.
Number 55, Kieron Pollard.
For you, whether it's Major League Cricket or having the World Cup here last year or having the Olympics in 2028, I mean, what to you has been a standout moment that you think has helped broaden the awareness of cricket in this country?
Well, no doubt. I mean, USA beating Pakistan. I mean, that has to be the highest, ever performance by the best ever performance by USA team. And unfortunately, we couldn't capitalize. That's a 6. That's a catch or a drop catch. 6. Yeah. Unfortunately, we couldn't capitalize more on promoting the sport further, and that's going to be an ongoing challenge forever, because USA is such a large country that But as far as what USA cricket should have done, could have done, would have done is at least build a small ground facility of its own in one part of the country and gotten all their cricketers, all the youth cricketers to move to that area that they could train together. The advantage of players practicing, training together, playing together is huge when it comes to these tournaments, when they go to the associate level tournaments.
Anything else you want to say about Major League Cricket at the end of year 3 heading into year 4?
No, absolutely. This is going to get bigger and better, hopefully. You only want to wish the MLC management the best, and I'll be there to support every time there is cricket, this level of cricket here. So this is already a winning score.
We got a prediction here. It's 160s. Now you're not just doing this in the moment. I talked to you earlier, and you thought like around the 5-6 over mark. You said this kind of score would be too much to chase.
Yeah, I told you 150 would be hard to chase. 160 is a winning score, to be honest.
So 166.
As a cricket fan, not just an MI fan, this is CSK's game to lose from here. Yeah.
So it's going to take something special from somebody in the chase. Pooran's got to do it. Yep. He's got to have a reprise of the tournament final in 2023.
Yep.
All right. You heard it here first. Thank you, Ganesh.
Great to hear from Ganesh. Oakland was incredible. Dallas has been awesome, and we've got one more game left. Doesn't feel real that there's only one game left, but we want you to not forget to subscribe and follow us. Also, rate us on Apple and Spotify, and if you want to get in touch, we're closing up on the end of the season. Drop us an email at uscricketnow@gmail.com.
US Cricket Now is a Viral Tribe Entertainment and Square Cut production. We'll be back one more time to the conclusion of the MLC 2025 final. Can Washington Freedom repeat? Or will MI New York be the team that claims an MLC title for the second time in 3 years? Come back Sunday night to find out all the action. That's it for now. Join us then.